It's time to be honest. I've wanted to talk about this topic for a very, very long time. And as you know, spur of the moment, I decided to just turn on the camera and talk about it. Talk about it right off the cuff. No edits, one continuous shot, all right? And this is about music in the Catholic Church. I can't speak for any other Catholic parish anywhere in the world but Australia. So I'm going to talk about Australian Catholic parish churches, and perhaps it may be similar in other parts of the world. So let me know if what I say you agree with, or if you can share what you know about Catholic parishes and their music in other parts of the world. Leave your comments on my video. I'll be greatly appreciative to read them. And of course, I am talking about the Roman Catholic denomination. Why is Catholic music generally bad? That's as simply as I can put it. Why is music always the last thing that is looked after and cared for and nurtured? Whereas, as we know, music has a connection on so many different levels to a person. And not just in the sacred world, in the secular world. You know, how much does music affect our lives? It can evoke so many emotions. It can help so many people. There's music therapy out there. There's so many talented musicians. Unfortunately, COVID really struck the music industry, and people felt it. People missed those live concerts. I'm not saying that music at Mass is a concert, but we all know what bad music is like. Of course, we have different preferences. Some people prefer organ music, some people prefer piano music, some people prefer pop music. And I'm not against any type of music. I have preferences to music. For example, I recently went to a wedding, and it was a blended service, and it had traditional music and contemporary music. And this was, a church wedding. And to tell you the truth, I absolutely loved it. It was the perfect mix of having old and new. And of course that won't sit well with everyone, and contemporary sacred music isn't my personal preference. But as an attendee, I wasn't scandalized by it. It was done very well, very well. And in the Catholic parishes in Australia, I noticed that there is a lot of contemporary music going on. And what I mean by contemporary is music that doesn't have a standard meter as we associate hymns with, and it's very cantor-led, very soloist-led. Whereas, a hymn is very metrical, and it can be sung by a congregation. And then, of course, we have choral music, which is sung by the choir, but I'm not going to talk about that yet, because that doesn't apply to, the general parish musicians. Now, when you combine contemporary music that isn't done very well, it's just, what's the word for it? It's not very good. It's not very nice. I can't think of any other non-offensive word. And fortunately, a lot of Catholics that go to Mass must, well, I know for myself, must just tolerate it, because, of course, the Mass is much more than the music. It is about celebrating the risen Lord. It is about making a personal connection with the Lord, with Christ. receiving Holy Communion. So all these things can help us get through the bad music. And why is Roman Catholic, I'm saying Roman Catholic just to make sure, I won't say Roman Catholic all the time, but Roman Catholic music in parishes, Catholic parishes, so bad? And this is just my opinion, and perhaps it is different in other parts of the world, but I think it's because the generation, the much older generation now, and all the stuff that happened with Catholic music in the 70s and 80s, they haven't really helped the new generation to be inspired with church music. And the Catholics and the churches haven't invested anything into the music ministry. They just kind of let it just happen. And yes, there's a lot of volunteer work in being a Catholic musician, but as with anything, if you want quality and if you want something to develop, you got to pay for it. You have to invest in it. What do we talk about when we want to buy something, for example? We save for it, put a little bit of money every week, put it away until we can afford it. And that's what I think that Catholic parishes should do, is really think hard about investing in the future. It's not going to happen overnight. We can't just click our fingers and suddenly have an amazing church music repertoire, church music tradition, and all these young people being involved in church music in Catholic parishes, because it won't happen. It's not something that happens overnight, and you can't form a musician overnight. You can't just buy one. It's too expensive. There's a lot of time commitment, and yeah, what I'm saying, sorry I'm being incoherent, but I've come to the stage, I have not been inspired by any Catholic music in any of the parishes I have visited or attended. And that's not a criticism, it's an observation, it's a personal observation. And a lot of people tell me, James, I'm surprised at how you have come up with the musical taste that you have now. I'm laughing because, yeah, I don't know. I think it's partly because of friends I've made outside the Catholic denomination, and because I'm also an organist, I'm in touch with a lot of other people, and a lot of other organists that I know who are Catholic often play in other denominations, such as Anglican churches, which have a much more richer church music tradition. And just for example, in my area, the local Anglican church there, not naming any churches, but they've spent a lot of time nurturing the next generation, and they had the foresight to know that it's not an overnight thing. When if this organist retires, who's going to take over? When this choir is getting too old, who's going to take over? It's a cycle. It is a cycle. I'm not going to be able to do what I do for the rest of my life. I'd love to, but we have to keep inspiring people. And I guess one of the reasons I'm making this video is because whoever's watching, if you're Catholic, if you're a Catholic musician, if you're a layperson attending Catholic Mass, we try to be more involved and more proactive about inspiring the next generation of musicians. And and music, and talk to the priest, talk to the clergy, talk to other people. Be more open about what is good music and what is not so good music. I think we can all determine what is nice and what is not nice. I just don't think we speak about it enough. I mean, I speak about it enough to my peers, to my friends, to my family, and now to you, hoping that we can have some sort of friendly dialogue and some ideas of correcting this problem, helping it. I'm going to burp, and I'm not going to cut this video, but I will silence that burp. I'm really sorry. I've just been having a chai latte. No coffee, no tea, because I need to go to sleep. What I've learnt from teaching music, from teaching piano and teaching the organ, and trying to get students and trying to get young people interested in church music, is that you can't just find them off the street. You can't just pick them up from a school. Can't do any of that. Because I've tried to advertise, in the old flyer method, the old advertisement in the parish bulletin, the notices on school walls, stuff like that. The most effective example of attracting people to good music, to be more involved in music, to get lessons, to be part of something musical, to be part of something good, is by example. So that's why I record a lot of everything I do. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, but I'm human and I'm not afraid of showing mistakes and showing things that I could have done better. It's all a journey. We're never going to be perfect. We're never going to hit the epitome of perfection. So my philosophy is to try to do the best, try to do the most accessible, try to do the most beautiful things, try to do the most inspirational things at Mass, on YouTube, play music that is accessible to a much wider audience, not just organists, in the hope that it will inspire people to continue on and to want to learn music. And I'm going to blow my own trumpet, beat my own drums. But for example, Swell Vox, that was not planned. If you don't know who Swell Vox is, it's the little choir group that started off small, expanded a bit, and now it's contracted a bit. And I don't know where it's going to go in the future, but I'm going to ride with it as it is. And I'm so grateful to them for being so supportive and being open to all the music I select during the liturgy, during Mass, because I'm hoping deep down inside that people do appreciate it. And I know that people around, there'll be people that don't appreciate what I do. I have to accept that. You can't please everyone. But I hope that, these choristers, these singers who, are much younger than me, inspire other young people to be involved. And that process of inspiring people, recruiting people, and the other young people see these people doing church music, that they in turn will be inspired, they'll join, and their friends see their friends doing it, and it just keeps growing. And that is something I want to nurture. It's very hard because the attendance of young people at churches and masses, as we all know, is not the best. So by moving into the online space, what I'm doing now, I'm hoping to change that. And I may not be able to change that in my area, but it may inspire people in other parts of the world. And that is the power of YouTube and the power of you watching it, because you'll talk about this to other people as well. It's very cliche to say that word of mouth is the most powerful form of advertising, but it's been proven time and time again. And I'm so grateful to have the channel that I have, to have grown it to where it is today. And, I can see, I guess, the fruits of my labor. And for example, one of them is playing contemporary organ repertoire. When I say contemporary organ repertoire, it's we associate, as church musicians associate contemporary music with, Christian music that isn't Bach or isn't traditional metrical stuff. Or contemporary music is basically pop music. But contemporary organ music is quite different. It is organ music written by living composers. That's the best way to describe it. And I don't think, when I was learning the piano in my younger years, I don't think I ever played much contemporary piano music. I wasn't in that community, but I'm so grateful to be in this community now, where there's contemporary composers, living composers that I can contact, and they send me their music and I can play it. And I know how much joy it must be for someone to, well, I don't know myself because I'm not a composer, but I know I can empathize. I can feel the joy a composer gets when other people play their music. It's amazing. It would be amazing. And I know that by playing that music, other organists will see it. Other people who watch my channel will be able to see that music and want to play it themselves. And that spreads, so on and so forth. So taking this philosophy, by doing Catholic music, doing it well, and doing a nice mix, a nice variety, having hymns that can be sung metrically, that are liturgically appropriate, and also having choir music that is accessible to the ear, accessible to the general public, but also gives the congregation a chance to participate with the music. And by playing accessible organ music in a Catholic parish situation is, I believe, the best way to continue and to inspire the next generation. And from the people that I've spoken to and people that have approached me during Mass, of course, I've always been very supportive and thankful for what I do. But I do occasionally get the phone call or complaint about the things I do. That's okay. It's not going to be for everyone, but I will always listen and take it on board and hopefully make a good judgment on how to proceed with that criticism and move forward. But I think we just need to inspire the next generation of musicians in Catholic churches. And that, of course, has to come with the support of clergy and the church in general. And I know that cathedrals generally have much better music, Catholic cathedrals, but not always. For example, St. Mary's Cathedral in Sydney has quite a great choral program. And why is that? Because they have invested in music. What's investing? What do you think of when I say investing? It's putting money aside, allocating a budget to foster that music ministry. And I know that a lot of Catholic parishes rely on volunteers. That is great. But if you want commitment, dedication, accountability, and musicians that will will care. I'm not saying that volunteers don't care. Volunteers can be the best type, but if you want professional musicians and, you know, for them to be able to train other musicians and future organists or choristers, you need to invest. It doesn't happen overnight. If you want to buy a car, unless you're insanely rich, you can't just walk up to a shop and buy one. You've got to put a little bit away every year. Every day, every week, whatever it is. Even if you had a ton of money, okay, imagine a Catholic parish here where I live said, okay, here is $100,000, make it happen. Okay, I'll try to make it happen. It's not something that happens overnight. Music's one of those things that can't be bought. You have to work for it. You have to practice. As with every other profession, you have to keep practicing. You have to keep being involved in it. To be at the level of proficiency I am in organ playing, I would say has taken, when did I start? It's probably taken close to a decade, and I already had a piano background. But that's a long time. It can be done in a much shorter time, but I have a lot of other things on my plate. I'm a father of three. I have lots of little jobs and a job to support myself, apart from the music stuff that I do. It's one of the joys of being a musician. I can't just have all your eggs in one basket. So, yeah, have to start investing now in order to see the rewards later on. It's like planting a tree. When you plant it, the first step is planting it, and over time it will grow. It's not an overnight. I know I keep repeating it. It's not an overnight thing, but it will happen eventually if you nurture it, and patience. And how many times is patience is it brought up in a sermon or a homily? We got to be like that. I probably missed a lot of things about what I wanted to say, but I'm sorry I wasn't coherent. But I just want to make Catholic music better. I want to make it the norm. I want to make it accessible. I want other people in other denominations to not look down on it as much, but rather look to it in the hope that it can be better. And I do pray that it will be better. I know that I can't change the world. I can't change every Catholic parish in the world. I don't have any control over that. But what I can do is control what I'm involved in my local parish. So that is what I'm trying to do. It's been made difficult by people not agreeing with you, people criticizing what you do. But you can't please everyone. I've already said that. But yeah, as you can imagine, this has probably been sitting on my mind for a long time, and I think I just got to that point where I needed to express and vent myself. Hopefully, you learned something from this. I think I learned more about how I feel about the whole thing just by expressing myself to you all on YouTube, whoever viewed this video. Thanks so much for your patience listening to this. Yeah, I promise you the next video will be a bit more joyous. No, I know it will, because I already recorded it and I'll publish it later after this video. But yeah, if you're a person that goes to a Catholic church, or you know Catholic people, bring up the topic of music. Talk to the clergy, talk to the people who are in the know or have some influence in the parish to really, really invest in music ministry. it's not the be-all and end-all of, of Mass, but it definitely is a big part in attracting and retaining people for the future. It just makes the whole experience of Mass a much better thing. And that is my goal. That is my prerogative. That is my wish. It is my weekly penance, is to try and do that to the best of my ability, to use my God-given talents and to share it with everybody else. That's all from me today, tonight, this evening. I'll catch you in my next video. Bye for now.